Hi guys, Ronda Winstead here with you. Okay, I am doing a quick video for journaling tips for hacks. This one is super simple. Many of you, I'm sure, already do this and know all about it, but there are always new people to journaling and whatnot. And so it's good to go over things. I've given this tip many times in some of my journaling videos, but I am trying to also have a special place for those of you that you just want the tips. So here we go. Let's get started. By the way, hello. It's good to see you, and I am so glad that you're with me, and I hope that you are healthy, and I hope that you're having a great day so far. All right. Okay, this is all about our stamp pads and what we do with them. And as many of you know, I used to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator way back in the dinosaur age. Well, maybe not quite that far, but long time ago. And at that time, I had a lot of things and learned a lot of things. One of the first things that I learned was never ever store your ink pads face up. And it's completely logical. When I heard, it's like, oh, well, duh. Store your ink pads upside down. That will allow the ink to, as you know, it draws down this way. It will allow it to draw to the top. If you store it right side up, it will go to the bottom, where you don't want it to be. I'm like, you don't want it on the bottom. So that is simple tip. Store your ink pads face down. That will allow the ink to drain, drip, settle, whatever you want to call it, to the top. Okay, so another thing that I want to share with you, just a couple of just simple, really basic things to take care of your ink pads and your stamps. Regardless, and this is an old Stampin' Up. This is 1997. That's a day or two ago, right? I told you it was back in the dinosaur age, didn't I? Okay, but I love it, and I've kept it, and I didn't keep the others in the set, but I kept this, and I have gotten rid of probably 99% of my Stampin' Up! Stamps since then. They seem to be very popular still, and you can buy them, but you pay a ridiculous price for them, as they're old sets. But I have kept this one, and I'm not a, I go wherever to buy whatever. I'm a thrift store lover, so I'm not saying go buy Stampin' Up! Stuff at all. Buy what you want, buy what you're comfortable with, use what you like. But certain rules can apply to all things. And, okay, so number one rule, upside down. Okay, now say you want to re-ink one of your stamp pads. And I just happen to have, this is Vintage Photo Distress ink, and I have a Vintage Photo, and I'll show you. We'll take the lid off, and I'll do a little bit of this, and I'll put it on there, and as you can see, that is barely going. It's time for me to re-ink this. So I thought I would show you how I do this. I'm not saying that my way is the only way or the best way, but this is what I learned, many years ago. So I put in my dropper, well, first of all, I'm almost going to have to, whoa, that is not part of the plan, okay? That was not part of the plan. Let me just tell you right here, right now, don't do that. Do as I say, not as I do. And I am just kind of spreading this ink with the ink dropper. So squeeze out. I really am going to have to get a new one of this, I can tell. I need a new inker. And as you can see, this is getting nicely covered and it looks very shiny. And I don't do much more than that. So then I go ahead and set that up. And let's wipe this one little drop. Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Let's wipe that up. Better. Much better. Okay, and we're just going to kind of let this set here for a little bit so that you can kind of see. You can already see where the ink is starting to soak in. And we're just going to let that set for a little bit while I share a couple of other things with you. Now, you can buy some expensive or fairly inexpensive cleaners for your stamps. And I have done that years past, and it really isn't necessary. So what I would encourage you to do to save money is to just get yourself an old washcloth. I mean, make sure it's clean, but this one has been through the wash. I get it filthy dirty, and then I throw it in the laundry machine, and I pull out another one of my artistic washcloths, and I just have probably 7 or 8 of them that I just kind of rotate. And I just fold it. This one I've just folded in half and then folded it in thirds. And this is how I clean my stamps. And I've shared this on some of my videos as well. But like I said, I'm trying to do a segment of journaling hacks, things that you would do and use in your journaling. And so I just use a little spray bottle with water. I keep it on my desk, and then when I use a stamp, I just clean it off on that. And that is so much cheaper than your cleaners that you buy. And yeah, you don't need to go to all of that expense. One thing you do want to keep in mind when you're using your stamps is, and with different ink pads, and I'll show you when I was doing the Stampin' Up, these were all the colors at the time. This was my Rich Regals, and there was a gal who sold these so that you could store your your ink pads upside down. And I loved it. And I have all 4 of these. This is just one of them. There were 4 sets. I don't know what all they've got now. I haven't bought anything for a long time because I have all of these. I kept, my ink pads, and I still use them. I had re-inkers also. Some of them are running low, and I will have to get new pads at some point, but I've got so much, I don't know. But let's just pull out a couple. One thing that people do sometimes, and kids do this a lot, so sometimes stamping has to be a monitored, or an adult, or a teenager, or somebody who's a little bit older that can help kids go through this process, so that you don't end up with your stamp pads being all kinds of colors that you didn't want. And it's just as simple as, when you stamp. Let's see how this is doing. I haven't used this in a long time, so I don't know. Not bad. Not bad. Forest foliage. Now, burgundy, completely different color, right? Thing people make mistakes on doing a lot of. It takes just a second, guys. Just smush it first, and you're cleaning, just your water, your little pad that you've made, and then go ahead and stamp it in your next color, and you won't get a bunch of mottled colors to where the colors run together. That's one thing that you want to do. Now, I don't know how all stamp pads work. These, obviously, that I've been buying, the archival, the lid comes off separately, and so it works great. For these that have lids on them, like for instance, these, you used to be able to, and still can, separate it this way. And if you want a bit of color here that you want to play with, you can do that. And you can use either a sponge dauber. And what do I mean by a sponge dauber? In case some of you may not be familiar. Sponge daubers are what I use for my ink pads. I like other methods, but these are just simple for me. I can put, just put my little finger in there, my middle finger, whatever, and I can do this. I can do that and put some color. I can spritz, and then I've got stuff to work with. So it's super fun, super simple. Now this, see what I did? I did a no-no. I smushed that after the brown and smushed it and put it in this other color. Burgundy. So again, do as I say, not as I do. But it's just a fun thing. I just purchased these in, I believe Hobby Lobby, but many craft stores. Sometimes in a thrift store too, you can purchase them. I just have different daubers for different colors, and I try to keep them separated so that I don't do what I did here. And this will be fine because I did smush it off. Eventually, your foam will wear off. And so I just get a new dauber. And I've had this particular little setup for probably over a year. And there are still those that I've not used. So I feel pretty good about, where it's going. It's good product for the money. Okay, so let's see. Let's set that back. Okay, let's hook this back on. Like I said, I don't know who all has like old stamp pads like this, but you can check and see if you can go ahead and use them that way. It's just kind of a fun thing that you can do. And one thing that I forgot that I'll just show you right now. See, it's been a long time since I've been a demonstrator, so I'm like trying to remember. A good way to get the color is to just do this. Ah, there. And then you can spritz it and use it that way. So, okay. So, number one is get yourself a little washcloth, water, make your own little cleaner pad that you can easily throw in the wash. Number two is don't mix your colors with your stamp pads, with your stamps. Clean them off before you restamp. Re-inking. Just cover it till you see it's covered nicely and it'll look all shiny. Now look at this. As we've been letting that set for just a few minutes, this is just about ready for me to use again. I'm not going to use it when it's like this. I mean, I could, if I wanted to, I could go around the edge and I would use that, but I would wait for this part because it will put too much ink on your stamp and it can leave you a muddy image, if you will, too much. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and put these back. And I think, let's see, I think we're probably, what else can I think of just off the cuff to help you water your re-inkers? Oftentimes these are less expensive than buying new ink pads. They're easy, as you can see. Well, after I dropped this, and for you, I'm sure it will be easier to use this. But it really isn't difficult to keep your stamps in good order and to keep them clean-ish. I mean, obviously, they do get stained. And I've had this one since, like I said, 1997. 2007. It's already like 10, 12, 13 years old. Well, that's not bad shape, you know, for having used it this length of time. And then here's a stamp that I purchased in, I think, Hobby Lobby a few years ago, a Hero Art stamp that I love the language. I don't know if that's French or whatever it is, but it doesn't matter. I still try to just, you know, I stamp and then I just clean it off and then it's ready to go. So yeah, let's see, I think I showed you, let's go ahead and just on the edge where we feel confident that it's not still too wet there. And you can see the difference from our first. I don't know if you can even see this, but our first is very, very faded. It's in this area. And then this is where I stamped after having put the re-inker on. I was careful not to get into this because this still needs to soak in. All right, guys. I think that we shall call it a day with that. I don't know if this has even been helpful for you. For those of you that are new, perhaps it has been a little bit. For those of you that have been doing this forever, just a quick reminder of what you can do to make your stamps last longer, your ink pads last longer, and to be a fun tool in your junk journaling. Because that's what it's all about, right? We want the tools so that we can keep playing and creating and doing all those amazing things. All right, guys, I love you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, morning, afternoon, whenever it is that you're watching this video. So until next time, have a fabulous day. Bye-bye now.